What's up, my man?
What's up, Brent? How you doing, brother?
Every day is a blessing. And you?
Likewise, man. Likewise.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right into it. So are you
Go
known
for
at, because I noticed two different things, Rafi and then Big Moosh, or I might
it.
be mispronouncing that. So what do you go by?
So my real name is Rafi, but Big Moosh was my nickname because my last name is Mushmushian.
Okay.
So Big Moosh became like the TikTok name, and then I just changed it to Rafi Moosh afterwards. But it still shows it for some people. I don't know why. But
Well, you have some of the most entertaining videos, car videos. That's who I try to go after. That like yesterday, I watched one where you're like it's in the hood and you're like getting out on the ground and then you charge him like a hood tax fee and then you charge him like all kinds of and it was like trying to get a Hellcat and it was
something like that, yeah.
and it was
I
awesome.
appreciate that. Believe it or not, that video did not do as well as I thought it was going to. Actually, I added a lot of sound effects and probably I did more on that video than any of my other videos, and that one didn't do good. So I was like, huh, interesting. So I don't know.
I noticed that as well. Like it was me personally, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was one of your better ones, man. It was
I appreciate that.
so go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell people where they can find you at, all that good stuff.
Got you. I'll talk to the camera the way I do on our podcast. But my name is Rafi. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Rafi Moosh. Been in the car sales for been in the sales business actually for about 6 years, and now car sales about 3 years. So just moving into that, and might move into real estate eventually. But as of right now, we're still in car business.
All right, cool. Well, the first question I always like to ask people, because I came from nothing. How was your childhood? Did you grow up like your family in sales? Like, how was the childhood? What led you to the sales industry?
I mean, growing up, my dad worked at a factory. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I have two sisters, so they kind of just took care of the family. We were never really, I wouldn't say well off. I mean, we barely made ends meet at certain points. So it didn't really come from a sales background or anything. My sister actually, who's quite a bit older than me, she's 12 years older than me.
Okay.
Um, she was in car sales. She was actually a finance director at a Mercedes dealership for about 8 years. And I was way younger when she was doing that. So by the time she got out of that, I wasn't even out of high school yet. So
Okay.
it was always in the back of my mind. I always knew she made decent money. So eventually, when I did gym sales, which is what I started off as, it was actually my first job. I
Okay.
moved into car sales later on just because, money's a lot better in car sales than it is in gym sales.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So besides my sister, no one really was any type of sales industry. Maybe like some cousins here and there, but for the most part, it was just me.
Yeah. So did your sister kind of point you in that direction, or did you just notice that she was making good money driving probably Mercedes or something?
Yeah, pretty much. She actually told me not to get into the car business because she was telling me it's too stressful, you can't handle it. It was a lot of, she was trying to persuade me not to do that, but I noticed she made decent money, which is what kind of led me to doing that.
Okay. So what does she do now?
Now she's also a stay-at-home mom, so she got married, had two kids, and now she's just chilling at home and doing her thing. So.
All right. So when you first did gym sales, what made you go into gym sales? What led you down the sales path versus just a normal job like 80% of Americans?
It's funny. I wasn't really trying to get into sales. What ended up happening is I worked out at that gym since I was like 15, and one day I saw they were hiring for front desk. So I was like, you know what? It's my first job. I'm interested. So I gave my resume and talked to them. They got me onto the team, and as I started training, I learned that front desk isn't just front desk. It's front desk and sales.
All
So
right.
they started teaching us sales and how to do certain things. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm like, cut out for this or if I want to do this. After like the first 3 months, they put me into a manager and training program. And then 2 months after that, I was the manager of the gym, which was crazy at 18 years old. So
My
it's just something that
goodness.
came natural, I guess, being Armenian and all. So
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I know Alex Hormozy is huge out there. Was that one of his gyms?
Alex, honestly, I'm not even sure who that is. I haven't heard of him.
Acquisition.com. Look him up. He's good people. One of the best podcasts. Like that's one of my favorite people to listen
Oh,
to.
I've heard of him. I've seen a couple of videos with him in it too. I think he does also sales training. Is that another thing he does?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've seen him. I don't think it's one of his gyms. This was more of a privatized gym that became franchised over the past couple of years. It's the Harmon Fitness Group.
Okay. All right. So you did that for a while. Was probably me just watching your videos. I would say you're probably very successful doing that.
Did decent, I'd say. I don't like to say, I'm successful or unsuccessful with certain things. I mean, I know that I've grown in certain things.
Uh-huh.
I did decent with that, working as that manager for that gym. They ended up moving me to a different gym later on, and I kind of built up that gym from where it was at, which was not a good point, to where it is now, which is a great point. Um, so I would say I did decent at my job. I definitely did more
Okay.
than what my job was asking for.
And what led you to leave that place to find the car business?
So that was actually during COVID. So during COVID, gyms started shutting down, right? I'm out here in Los Angeles towards, it's called San Fernando Valley. So it's a little bit outside of Los Angeles.
Okay.
Uh, we were in a different county, right, which had different health laws.
Hmm.
So I just kind of read through the laws and saw what their ordinance was, and I pushed them to move the gym outdoors, right? Which
Okay.
we did, and we were actually the first outdoor gym, which was Crunch Simi Valley. I'm sure some people are going to hear that and be like, "Oh, I know that place." We were the first outdoor gym in Ventura and Los Angeles County, and after doing that for some time, I started requesting some time off because I also have a dad who's sick, so I want to take care of him and not be out in the open too much because he's very susceptible to COVID and immuno deficiencies. So when I had requested that, they told me either you could leave or you could stay working. So I had self-respect and I said, you know what, if that's the case, I'd rather just get out of it. So I ended up quitting the job. And then about a year went by. I did a vending machine business, did that for a little bit, worked out good. And then I was actually looking at buying a car, and then one of the guys that I negotiated with said, "Bro, you should just work here. Like you know how all this stuff works." And kind of got into it from there. So
So were you a natural into the car business, or how was your first month,
mm,
2, 3 months?
no, I would definitely say I had a really, really rough start because I wasn't used to being very pushy. I'm a very low pressure type salesman. So I'm what you call, I'm sure you already know, I'm what you call a lay down. I'm very just to the point, like, look, man, this is my best price. If you want to do it, we'll do it. I don't really try to hold too much gross because I just like I value building relationships with customers and doing high volume over, screwing people over and charging more than what they really should be charged. A warranty here and there, not a big deal, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about like super high interest rates and all that stuff. So at first it wasn't working out because that dealership that I was at wasn't necessarily built for that at the time, just because of COVID and markups going crazy, rates going up. So no, at first it was definitely a little bit of a struggle. I almost quit in the first 3 months actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you
So
still with the same automotive group, same dealership?
actually right now I'm actually not doing car sales. Right now I'm just making the videos and I'm trying to focus a little bit on social media. I'm making some okay money from that. So obviously I have some reserve and some investments that's keeping me well above afloat, but I'm trying to focus on building social media, and then probably in a couple months I'll probably go back into sales, car sales.
Okay. So what kind of money is social media paying the bills right now?
I mean, right now I'm making about 4 or 5 thousand a month off TikTok and some Instagram promotions here and there. Obviously, I do some day trading too with stocks and cryptos, which doesn't make the best money, maybe an extra thousand a month if I'm not losing money. Um, and then just some little investments here and there in some private companies that are around me, like friends of mine that have started up, so I get some royalties from there. But it's covering a good amount of the bills.
Well, congratulations, man.
I
Four or
appreciate
five
it.
just from social media is killing it. I mean, I know a lot of people make way more, but at least four or
Yeah,
five grand, it covers the bills and, allows you the freedom to do, like you said, content creation, day
build the
trading, and other
brand and
things.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Right now I'm just trying to go for building that brand. That's the goal. I want to make like a somewhat of an apparel company, but kind of based on my car sales skits where I have like those crazy pants on and stuff. A lot of people seem to like them, so might as well sell them.
It stay man, it makes you stand out. And like you said, it's your
That's
personal brand.
Yep.
Cause I was watching one before right before I got on. You were standing on the hood, and the guy was like, "Did you crack the hood?" He was like, "Yeah, I did." But and then
That was
another
my
guy
car. That was
come,
my personal car.
yeah. And then he was like, "You got a Corvette?" He was like, "Yeah, we got one 9 seconds ago. You want to buy it?" He was like, "I want to look at it. You want to buy it?" I was like, "Buddy, you make great content,
I
so
appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, man,
uh,
those pants are actually the reason why I started doing the car sale skits is because I was like, or actually when I started doing the car sale skits, I put those pants on purpose so people have like a targeting point. It makes people remember you more when they see the same thing a couple times. and
Yeah.
that's what caught on. I think that's what started blowing some of the things up.
Well, congratulations. Most people don't go that far in depth, so that's awesome.
I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's a
Um,
little simple things, man. It makes a big difference. So
Absolutely. You're usually working out in some of your videos, like doing pull-ups and stuff.
yeah, just catches the
uh,
attention and it seems to work.
Absolutely. It caught my attention and I was like, man, this dude's good. So
I appreciate
absolutely.
that. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Um, so when you first got into the car sales, you said you wasn't great. Um, do they do any type of training or do they just throw you to the wolves?
So they did give me a little bit of training at first. They had me shadow some of the sales guys there.
Hmm.
Uh, Moving forward in the car business, I started realizing back when I had first started, they didn't give me the best people to shadow because just there were bad habits and not really the hardest working or like in a way the hungriest salesman. So there was some training, they'd sit down with me here and there, show me four squares, show me sales pitches. They showed me how to get over certain objections. So that was definitely there. But the
Okay.
part they obviously can't teach you is the personality, and I think that's one of the most important parts.
Yeah. And one thing I noticed you said is a four square. So y'all use the four square out there.
We use it instead of a sales closing technique, we just use it to get the information for the desk manager. And then once we do the initial like back and forth of, hey, what are you looking to put down? How are you trading something in? Once we get that done, we never go back to it. It's not like the sleazy use of the Foursquare. It's just the information gathering. That's all it is.
Okay. We
Yeah,
so I've done both of them, but majority of my car sales it's been the four square. So yeah,
I got you.
I picked up on that when you said it. So all
A
right.
lot of people look down on it. I don't know why. I feel like it's not really that bad in my opinion.
No, it's just in my opinion, you if you can I always taught my people if you can win three boxes at least, you're gonna do good. If you give up
Yeah,
and lose all of them, then you know what? You have no one to blame but yourself, but the minis. You know?
absolutely, absolutely.
So what made you create your first video?
So interestingly enough, I actually helped my ex-girlfriend with social media way before I got into car sales, right? So she was doing her videos. It's a whole different genre, but I kind of picked up on how TikTok algorithm and social media algorithms work. So I
Okay.
was like, you know what? Let me try to get into it. Actually did it for a couple different niches first before I got into the car sales niche. I was doing gym content, relationship content, motorcycle content. Nothing picked up. And then I was like, no, you know what? Let me try something with car sales. So I had seen a video actually from Russ Flips Whips, who was on, I think a couple weeks ago, right?
He was on 2 weeks ago. Me and him
Yeah.
still talk almost every day now. Yeah. So yeah, good person.
Russ is really cool. He's honestly one of my favorite guys that I've talked to in the community. But I had seen one of his videos and I was like, I can probably do something similar to that. And I started asking like the sales guys around me questions like, hey, what's your car payment? What kind of car do you drive? How much you pay on insurance in Los Angeles? Stuff like that. And those started to kind of catch on. And then one of the videos just hit like 6 million on Instagram. And I was like, okay, I think this is gonna be the niche.
This is it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you just was it like instant success? I know you said you tried a few different genres besides that, but
yeah.
once you did, okay. So
Yeah,
you
so the
found it
first
pretty
couple ones I
quickly,
did,
man.
I'd say yeah, honestly, relatively quick compared to some people. Some people will spend, 6 months to a year trying to figure out, if they're gonna stay in that niche or not. It took me maybe like a month, and that just stuck. I would say I got lucky. It's a mix of luck and some knowledge, but other than that, it was pretty lucky.
I think it's also a huge part is your personality. You're always smiling. It's just like it's awesome, man. It just
I
keeps me
appreciate
like
it.
engaged. So yeah, I was like
Yeah,
him. I definitely got to get. So yeah, that's good shit, man.
I appreciate it, man. It's a law of attraction. I mean, I just try to keep it with everything, car sales, talking to girls at a club, going out making friends. It's a law of attraction. If you just stay positive, keep a smile on, and just be good energy comes around to you. And I truly believe in that, and I truly follow that. So
Yeah, and I noticed the headset you got on. Are you a gamer?
no, actually, this is the only headset I had from like 4 years ago, and I was like, oh, you know what, let me just put this on because the sound quality was not good before I hopped on. I was like, let me just use this.
That's so yeah, I just bought all of this stuff and going to start doing all kinds of podcasts, mainly getting people from social media that just makes great content. So yeah, I had Russ, had the goat, and had a few other people that just did it. So and then I didn't think as many people would say yes, just to be honest with you. And then I was like, I booked so many. I've done like 15 this week and booked way too many. And then I was like, I got to scale that back, man.
Gotta slow it
So
down a little bit. That's a good problem to have though.
absolutely. So when you were selling cars, how many were you selling a month?
It depends. So our dealership had a minimum to gain bonus and to gain commission bonuses, you had to sell at least 12
Okay.
at that time. I think right now it's 10, but it was 12 at the time.
Hmm.
And usually I would sell about maybe the first year was like barely hitting 12. I didn't hit units a couple months. The second year I took a 2 month break because I had to take care of, my dad and a couple other things. But when I came back, first month I sold 26 cars. Second month I sold 23, and then I just stayed above the 18 mark for like 5, 6 months. So for after that point, average was at least like 16 a month minimum.
Well,
So
congratulations. So
it was a good week.
out there in the California area, what kind of money does that pay you selling 15, 16, 20 cars, roughly speaking?
It depends. I mean, I know a lot of friends at other dealerships around my area, and I think our pay plan structure is the weirdest and di most different compared to other ones. Like usually it's like a percentage on the front end or the back end, right? This
Hmm.
dealership is a little bit different. They pay you percentage on the total gross of that deal,
Okay.
but they pay on a matrix. So it's like if you sold 12 cars or if you sold less than 12 cars, you don't get any commissions on the deals themselves. If you hit bonuses, you still get paid those like 5 cars in one weekend, you'll make the $1,000, $2,000 bonus. But if you sell 12 to 13, they'll pay you, let's say on a $2,000 deal, they'll pay you like 150 bucks, 200 bucks. If you sell like an 8 grand deal, then obviously they'll pay you accordingly and it just goes up. And then if you sold 16 versus 18 versus 20, it just goes up as a flat based on what the deal the deal amount was.
Okay. So yearly, you thinking 150, or if you sell 20 cars on average?
Honestly, if you sold 20 cars on average with decent gross for a whole year at that dealership, you'd make well over 200. I've seen two, three guys when I first got there, they were making well over 260, 270. We had a couple sales managers making over 500,000. So it was a really, really
Hell
good time
yeah.
when I first got into it. But
That's awesome, man. Congrats. That's yeah, so it's about the same out here where if you sell 20, you're gonna make at least 15, 16, 17,000
yeah,
dollars with bonuses and all that. So what
makes
is the
sense.
most cars you ever sold in a month?
Would be actually that 1 month where I had 26 when I had first came back from that little vacation time away. 26 cars in 1 month was probably the most I ever hit.
All right. Were you motivated just to make the money back from you blowing money being off for a while, or what do you think was the success
Honestly,
of that month?
it wasn't even the money. It's just that, like I said, the almost 1 year before I got back on that from that vacation, I was not doing well, and I was like, you know what, like this is not me. I know I can sell. I know I'm one of the best guys here because I was looking at some of the guys there, and I'm like, man, how are you selling more than me? It doesn't make sense. So for me, it wasn't even a motivation for the money because money's never really affected me too much. I don't think about it too much, so it doesn't bug me. But it was more about proving myself to myself is what really motivated me.
Okay. And in that area, do y'all get a lot of bad credit people, average credit people, phenomenal credit? Because I know you're in LA. I've
Yeah.
never been to LA, so I've been to California a few times, but I'm not too familiar with that area. So, what is your demographic of people credit wise?
And we get all kinds of people because we're in a low income demographic area where the
Okay.
dealership's actually located. Um, where people actually consider that area, which is Van Nuys, they consider it the ghetto out here. But that's where we're located. But because it was owned by Russell Westbrook, who obviously was a basketball player, we had a lot
Okay.
of high income clientele come in, and I've sold cars to some celebrities a couple times. I don't know if you've heard of Polo G. I sold him a Corvette. Came
Yep.
back later. I was trying to buy a Trackhawk. Patrick Beverly. We had uh, Ice Cube. Am I tripping? Might be someone else, but I think Ice Cube came in. Um, yeah, pretty sure it was Ice Cube. Came in, bought a charger for his son. Uh, we had a lot of celebrities too, so we get a mix of everything. Everything.
And does Russell Westbrook still own it?
Not anymore, but because the name was there, a lot of people still go there and they, Hellcats, Trackhawks and all those higher end scat packs and everything. People still come in with decent and bad credit for those cars as well as the high income credit. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I didn't even know he was in the automobile industry. So yeah.
I don't know either. The first year working there, I was like, I don't know if it's the same Russell Westbrook I'm thinking of. But then we also had a basketball court in the showroom. It was like a little baby basketball court. So I was like, yeah, I think it is. And then eventually it was. I guess he just had his name on there and he made a percentage just of the just by owning part of the dealership.
Yeah, and I noticed you have a pool table too in there.
No, actually that was actually at a different it was a brokerage that hired me to come in and make a video with them. So they have a really nice place actually. They have like a little loft with the pool table and they have like darts and they had a
They got
Lamborghini Countach
yeah, they got
body
lifts in the
hanging.
back and stuff. That's why I figured it
Yeah.
was a dealership. I was like, damn, I ain't never seen that.
Nah, I wish I was a dealership man. I would love to be there if that was the case.
All right. So, what do you think makes you so successful in the car business world? Do you think do you get a lot of business from the videos, or what makes you successful?
So the videos started helping out towards the end before I took a little vacation just to focus on social media and stuff. But
Hmm.
definitely helped out. It wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be, but I think what it really comes down to in any aspect of sales is just being able to handle the stress. Because a lot of people will get flustered, stressed out, and when that happens, your mind gets clouded and you can't really focus on the important things, such as like
Hmm.
the fundamentals and really just getting down to calling customers, texting them, and building that relationship.
Hmm.
But on top of that, I'm also really good at just building clientele and relationships. So most of my customers, I don't think I've ever had any customers really not like me or not want to work with me again.
Yeah,
So out of all the reviews on that on the dealership page, for example, a lot of them are about me, and every single one of them is a good review. So it's
that's
just I
awesome.
think just handling clients respectfully and I guess really just putting them first is what does the best for me. And you don't hear that a lot in car sales anymore, but I think that's what works for me the best.
No, especially during the COVID time, it was not thought that way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. At the time they were like milk everything you can get.
Yeah, just eat everything you can. They didn't think about long term
Exactly.
about people coming back and not being able to buy cars. They didn't think about that. Most people didn't, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried my best to kind of limit that because I was thinking already like the market is going to crash eventually and rates are already on their way up. I want my customers to be able to come back and either have no negative equity or be not as bad. But man, we're seeing like negative 20, negative $25,000 in negative equity on some of these cars. It was insane. So
That's insane, man.
yeah, it was a crazy times that we were living in for a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So, have they reached out to you trying to get you to come back? Will you go to the same dealership or will you go to a different one?
I mean, I still work with them all the time, and I'm always there. I see the GM all the time, and we're still cool. Um, I probably wouldn't go back to the same dealership just because I do want to branch out in the brand that I'm working with. But I might, depending on the time when I do go back, if I do go back, how car sales is looking, and what kind of inventory they're having. I might go back, but Dodge is also planning to discontinue, or they already discontinued all the Chargers and
Yeah.
Challengers. So that's not going to be that good of a look in my opinion. So we'll see.
Yeah. You can go to Mercedes like your sister used to work at. I always heard that they make a fortune. I follow one guy that's going to be on the podcast and he sells Porsches and he crushes it.
Porsche sales is where it's at. I was trying to get into Porsche dealership actually, and they're very exclusive. You can't really just go in and start selling. But Porsche sales makes a lot. Mercedes used to make a lot, but from what I've heard recently is they're not really making too much. At least not the ones in my area, from
Hmm.
what I've heard. But yeah, usually European cars they have a decent ROI.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah. I've never personally sold luxury brands. So that's why when he said that what kind of money he was making, I was like, for real. And he's got a 500,000 followers, crushing it, makes great content like you. So that's yeah. So I was like, man, that's us. That's very interesting. Didn't know that. I would think that people that have that much money, they wouldn't negotiate as much. They just provide service, like you mentioned,
Be
and then you
surprised.
just yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. So,
Yeah.
what advice do you do you think everybody could be great at social media?
That's a tough question because I think anyone can learn to be good at social media, but I honestly don't think it's made for everyone. Honestly, I'm not even sure it's made if I'm made for it yet. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I mean, it's working now, but we'll see. But just for social media, you really have to have thick skin and you have to be able to really put yourself out there. Like a lot of people now, like I'll be walking in the streets and be like, people will see me and be like, "Oh, hey, you're the guy from, that dealership," and which, I don't mind obviously, but you're also out there. You don't really get as much privacy on the internet, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So
So
in order
when
to do
people
good,
come up to you, does it freak you out?
No, no, not really, because I was always kind of known, at least in my area, I was always kind of known because of the gym. A lot of
Okay.
people knew me from there. Um, but that's why it doesn't really like doesn't bug me or anything. At least
Yeah.
I don't know, not that I could tell.
Yeah. I would just like if someone kept staring at me, like, what the hell are they looking at? So yeah.
Yeah, that at some point I was thinking that. Then one of the guys brought it up to me. He's like, "Bro, they probably seen your videos or something." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I do that." Like, so that's why now I just ignore it, look the other way, and just if they want to say hi, I'm more than happy to say hi to people. But I'm not even like I'm nowhere near being high up there on numbers there for social media, so I don't even think like it's that much, um, that much people that actually know me. But you know,
I think you're going in the right direction. I think you'll get there a lot
hopefully.
quicker than you think, man. Like it's just if you keep making the same content, I don't see how you would not keep going more and more and more. It's like
I appreciate it.
sincerely very, very good. So yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
really do appreciate that.
Yes, sir. So what kind of car do you drive?
Right now I have two actually. I have a Audi S5. That's kind of like my daily fun car, and then I also have a Grand Cherokee just to have the SUV. But usually I let my mom use that whenever she needs. We rarely drive that car. It's like we've had it for 7 months. It has less than 2,000 miles on it. So
Okay. So one question I always like to ask everybody, what kind of objections do you hear the most out there? How do you handle them?
lately we've been hearing more of one rates, which easy one to handle, and then two, another. I think the biggest one right now is price. It's just the rates and lease pricing is just too high. It's always either A, the monthly is too much, or B, the rate's too high.
Okay.
Monthly being too much, that one's a little bit tougher to handle because you're selling, a Jeep for $800 a month, and they say, hey, well, I got a quote at Mercedes for the GLE, and it's 690. It's how do you can't really compete. You tell them, oh, it's two different cars. This one's more economic, but some people just nope, Mercedes versus Jeep. They want to go with the Mercedes, so it's a little bit tougher to handle.
Okay.
Uh, Rates is just you got to tell them it's universal. Wherever you go, it's gonna be the same thing. So let's take that out of the equation and just focus on the car. What car do you like the most? And you kind of bring the focus back to the car is what I usually do.
Yeah. Do you ever train individuals, new car salespeople when you were still there? Did they ever ask you to do that? Because in my opinion, if I was a manager, you're the guy that I want to go after. Great personality, great content. Do what he does in your own way, of course.
I appreciate it. Yeah, here and there, I would train some of the guys if they were on my sales manager's team. I have them sit with me and shadow me here and there. Most of the time, actually, I wouldn't want someone to be around with me, not because I don't want to teach them, but because some customers they didn't really like having an extra person there watching, listening. Because sometimes customers are just a little bit strange. But usually, I'll sit down with them at the end of the night and be like, hey, like, what did you learn today, or what questions do you have? What do you have the most trouble with? Do you know the CRM yet? Do you have any questions about that? And I would sit with them and just do that out of my own free will. No one really asked us to do that. It's just at some point you would just learn to follow someone and watch somebody.
Absolutely. What kind of volume were you all selling out there monthly?
When I first got there, actually, it was about 600 cars a month, and then yeah, high, it
That's
was a very high.
rolling.
It's a high volume dealership, man. We had like 40, 50 salespeople at some point. I think at some point we hit
Damn.
62. Yeah, we got a lot of people. So we were selling a lot then. Right now, I think they're selling about 350 to 400 is what they're still shooting for.
That's rolling. I've never been at a dealership that was selling 600 cars a month. That's rolling.
Yeah, that place was. I mean, you got four brands. You got Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, all of which sell pretty well, minus Chrysler. But they had a lot of things going on. We'd sell about 120, 130 Jeep Wranglers alone every month. So,
Damn. How many people are in LA?
man, there's a lot. I think it's a couple million in LA, no? I don't know
I
the
have
exact
like
population numbers.
where I'm at, Louisville, Kentucky, there's a million people. So that's why, and there's a Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram store right up the road. They sell 100 cars a month, and they don't have a ton of inventory. And I think that they only sell 10 new cars a month. The rest is just new. And you're talking about selling 600, man. That's rolling.
Yeah, they sold. I'm telling you, man, they sold a lot. I mean, the LA area demographics a little bit different too. Everyone and their mom wants a Charger, Challenger, and a Wrangler out here. So a lot of people come in just for those cars specifically. But yeah, man, I don't know. They sold a lot. They would always be selling a lot.
Who, how many did the top salesperson sell a month?
Usually between 20 to 25 was like, hey, you're doing great type number. Some of the guys
Yeah.
would hit as much as 30, 31. So it really it just depended. But a lot of them would be I don't want to say minis because they wouldn't necessarily be minis, but they'd be volume sales where there wasn't
Yeah.
much gross in the deals. It's just move the unit, move the unit, move the unit. So
Yeah. So when you sold 600, how many new versus used?
I'd say about 400 to 450 new would be what they
Damn.
were going for. And then used cars, they didn't really stock as much back then. They have a lot more now. They have over maybe like five, 600 used cars right now on the lot. And then maybe a couple thousand, maybe 1,500, 2,000 new cars. But usually it'd be about 400, 450 or so new. The rest used.
That's that's stellar, man. That's stellar.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
they
got to
they they
put you
they
one
they
of the
move
top ones.
numbers. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're one of the top Jeep dealerships in the nation. At some point, they actually hit number one a couple times too, which was cool.
My God. Does anybody do social media as good as you?
At that dealership, no. At that dealership, they've been bugging us to do it for a while because they wanted people to start getting on Instagram, TikTok, and posting deals and generating business. And no one really was able to do it. I never really wanted to do it anyways, and then I kind of started getting into it, and that's where things started taking off. So
Yeah, and I notice the way you say it and describe it, you're smiling. So I can tell just like by your body language, you actually enjoy doing it now.
I really do like it now, yeah, because it's something that I really like. I have fun with it, honestly, making videos and putting out creativity. I've always been a creative, so I like to make videos of cars and do like edits. Like here and there, I'll post cinematography of vehicles and stuff.
Hmm.
So it's something I've always liked doing. So making those videos and just being creative, making them funny, it's fun. You sit with your friends and laugh about it, and then you just see the people's comments and you make people's day. It's really enjoyable
Yeah. Do you ever get any hate comments?
all the time, all the time. I made a
Did
couple of
it
videos
ever
that
bother you?
nah, not really. That's what I was saying. Like some people, if they see a couple hate comments, it really does bug them. But for me, it's part of the game. I mean, I get a million positive comments and three, four hate comments. It's not gonna bug me.
Yeah.
So
So how long have you been making those videos?
I actually started doing them back in August and September of last year. So it's only been about 6 months or so, I want to
So
say.
not that long at all.
Not
You
necessarily, no. Yeah,
and
it's
you've
been
blown up, man. You've got just on TikTok, you got 78,000 followers. You got 6 million likes. Instagram, you got 62,000. And then I noticed here that you go live every Monday and Tuesday at 11 o'clock.
yeah, we haven't done that in a while, but we try to do that just because we have our own podcast too that we usually record on Mondays and Tuesdays. It's a whole separate genre. It has nothing to do with car sales or anything, but it's about like relationships and world events and stuff. But we haven't done that in a while. But it's gone up. It's gone up a lot more a lot faster than I thought it was going to.
What's the name of it?
It's hosted by Strikers Media. That's a group with me and four of my of you know car sales friends that became personal friends. So
Okay. And another word that you don't hear that much on your TikTok profile is buffoonery, dealership
oh
buffoonery.
yeah,
I thought that was pretty. Just the word
I,
makes me think. I was
I was just trying to change the description. I couldn't think of something to put, but I had to change the whole relationship and motorcycle thing because it was like a car page type, right? So I had to
yeah.
change that. So the first thing I thought of was dealership buffoonery, and I was like, you know what? Let me just put that in there. I'll leave it there, and I haven't changed it since. So
I, I don't think anybody else that I've ever seen has that word out there, you know. So I thought it was pretty
buffoonery.
cool. So
Yeah,
what kind of
I don't even know where
hobbies
that
do
came
you
from.
have out there in the beautiful sunshine state out there in California? It's beautiful always. What kind of hobbies you got?
I mean, I keep it simple, man. Just car shows, everything I do is pretty much around cars and motorcycles. Obviously, I go to the gym here and there and do videography. That's pretty much my life, man. Just doing videos and enjoying cars and motorcycles, gym
Any
workouts.
beach life or anything?
I mean, I haven't been to a beach in maybe a year and a half. You get
My
sick of it
God.
after some time.
Like me, I love the beach. I love the ocean. I got a saltwater tank in my home. I love it. But I'm also in Kentucky, so I can't just drive down the road and do it, you know. But
Usually, when I head out to the beach, the reason we're going is because we got these like crazy canyons that go from the valley over the mountain to the beach. So that's the only reason why we usually go with like a car run, go with a car meet, then hang out by the beach. But beach days I haven't done in a while. I've been just been so busy. That's the only thing.
yeah. So what keeps you busy? Just content. I know you mentioned your family.
Yeah, there's that too. That's probably the biggest one is my family. So normally I don't put this out, but just to give context, my dad has dementia. So my parents live
Sorry to
with
hear
me.
that.
No, it is part of life, man. It is what it is. There's a million other things out there that could be worse. But my parents live with me, and I live with them, stay with them, and help them with things here and there. So there's that. So that takes away a lot of time. And then also making the content does take a little bit of time, not as much as people would think. But before the content, it was just working the dealership business. That takes a lot of time, like 9 to 9 every day, and it was no free time pretty much.
Do you work 6 days, or did you work 6 days a week or 5 days a week, or?
We were scheduled 5 days a week. I'm the type of guy that would go in on my day off because I'm bored, and I would just go in and try to get some sales in. So usually it'd be like 5 to 6 days a week.
Yeah. And do y'all, since you sold so many, are there just always people just walking on the lot and just cut customers unlimited?
Now, not so much, but before, I remember when I first got there, you couldn't even you'd have to work two customers at a time. That's most of the time, just because there were so many customers coming in. Like you would go out, call a car, get the up, bring them inside, talk to them, not a deal. All right, no worries. Have a nice day. Walk right back outside, and a minute later, you're back inside with a customer. Like we had no parking, we had to not keep cars on the lot, and that was like an issue at some point because we have a very small lot, and the dealership itself is not big, but the volume they sell is way bigger than what the dealership looks, which is, in my opinion, kind of crazy. But
So where do the cars go?
they had three remote lots, so they have one. It's
Damn.
a yeah. So if you wanted trucks, you go to the truck lot. You wanted a new car, you go to the new car lot, and then they have a used car lot, and those lots are huge, huge, bigger than the
Are
dealership, I'd say.
are they closer? Like far by, like miles, or like right up the block, or?
There's the used car lot was right up the block. It was like
Cool.
literally a 5 minute walk. The new car and the truck lot was about a 10 minute drive.
That sucks.
So yeah, it was horrible. They still got that system going on now, but they're trying to figure that out. But they're trying to work more by appointment, so you kind of schedule things out and you learn how to manage that, so you don't have customers waiting 45, 50 minutes for a car.
Yeah, time kills deals, man. So yeah,
Yeah,
I figured
yeah,
you were gonna say like right up the lot, but then you got to work traffic and everything. LA traffic, you always hear about it. So you can
yeah.
get stuck in traffic and be gone for 20 minutes picking up a car, 30
Oh
minutes.
yeah, because we're literally on that little hotspot of LA where you're just getting out of LA and two major freeways are meeting, the 101 and 405. So we're right there on the corner. We're about 2 miles away from that. So it's always, always, always traffic on that street unless it's like a Saturday or Sunday. And even then, for a Saturday or Sunday, it's pretty busy.
Okay. Did you grow up out there in LA?
Yeah, born and raised in the same household for most of my life. Well, actually, all my life. What am I saying?
Okay.
Same household all my life and LA all my life.
Yeah. Play sports growing up, anything?
Yeah, so I did soccer and basketball for all my, sports career in high school. And then at some point I did volleyball, track, and cross country just for fun here and there on the off seasons.
Will you always be in sales?
I think I would say I probably will always be in sales. If I'm not doing sales for my own company, I'll probably be doing it for someone else. There's not a single job in the world that you could not get a degree and make well over six figures just by being yourself and, hustling, at
Yeah.
least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you got a great personality for sales. You're
I
always
appreciate it.
same even on the podcast, man. So
I
you're
said
like,
same about
yeah,
you,
man.
man.
All right. Well, you tell me how one question I always like to ask as well for new advice, new car salespeople, what advice would you give them to be successful, to hit the ground running?
Well, I'm gonna say this. One is don't be lazy because that's the number one killer. Once you get that out of the way, it's just be yourself and be likable. Don't try to sell the car or the payments. Try to sell yourself first because once they trust you and they like you and you're genuinely being honest, you can sell anything. At least that's been my experience. So
Okay.
just always be honest with the customer. Don't try to pull one over on them, and just be yourself. And it
Okay.
works out pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And anything that they shouldn't do.
Definitely don't follow the old ideology of car sales. That those days are gone, in my opinion. And a lot of people will tell you, like the older guys, they're gonna tell you like, man, I've been doing this since I was 20 years old. And they're well into their 60s now and saying, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't, focus on the leads. You got to go look outside. The customers that are on the lot are the most important. I feel like you can't really follow that ideology because that's bound to fail within the next year or two.
Yeah. All right. Any big plans for you in the future? I know you said you day trade, you're trying to build your brand. What's next for you?
I think I'm trying to move up in the car sales um, car sales media essentially, like the videos that we make, with the Goat and Russ and there's Javon Banks and Tito Swad, all those guys, they make the same videos. I'm trying to move up to their level if I can. And on top of that, I do want to move out of car sales a little bit too and expand my niche into, maybe gym content or car content again. Now that I
Hmm.
have the following, I feel like it'll be a little bit easier. And
Yeah.
then that's just for social media. And then in real life, I'm just trying to build, you know, my brand, which is going to be, like I said, myself and, apparel, car meets. I have a car meet actually that I'm holding coming up in LA, which is going to be, I think, pretty cool. But it's going to be something interesting. So we'll see.
Yeah. I would say it's going to be all over social media so I can see it.
I would hope it's gonna be. I mean, I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna have some of my friends and some companies post it too, and we got some vendors that'll post it. But I don't know how the turnout's gonna be, so we'll see.
Well,
Hopefully, it
think
gets
positive,
pushed out more
man.
than I think. No, absolutely. I'm expecting the best, preparing for the worst. So we'll see how that goes.
All right, man. Well, I can't tell you how much it means to me that you jumped on. Sincerely mean that. If you ever need me, you have my personal cell phone number. Please feel
I
reach
appreciate
out
it.
to any time. And
Absolutely, man.
I wish you the best for your brand, yourself, everything.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, Brent. Honestly, thank you for bringing me on. Honestly, I like being on podcasts and just talking about things. I'm a talker, clearly, so it's fun. But I really do appreciate you bringing me on here, genuinely. So thank you for that. And likewise, man, if you ever have any questions or you need anything, you got my number too, so let me know.
All right, big dog. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you
Bye.
again.